Yeah, well, naturally, he was then asked how he actually views China, especially when our major ally, the US, has labelled them their greatest threat. Have a listen.
We have strategic competition in the region, but we continue to engage in order to support peace and security in the region and stability in the region.
Well, if strategic competition means increasing your nuclear arsenal and your warships, then, yeah, I guess we have strategic competition, Dave Sharma.
Look, I think that's right. I don't think there's any doubt that the People's Republic of China under Xi Jinping has adopted a much more aggressive and expansionist attitude than previous iterations of the CCP leadership. And that is rightly a concern, not only for Australia, it's a concern for many of China's neighbours, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia. It's a concern for United States allies in the region as well, and it should be a concern for Australia. I mean, we desire, and we should desire, a prosperous and productive trading relationship with China, but that should not mean that we park any other differences or discount them or do not raise them whatsoever. We trade because it's in our mutual interest to do so, not as a favour to one another. China buys our iron ore because they need it and we're a good, high-quality, reliable supplier. That's the basis of that relationship. It doesn't mean that we should be papering over differences in other areas or failing to raise our fundamental strategic and security concerns.
Now, there was the not insignificant matter of the port of Darwin, currently on a long-term lease to the Chinese.
Did the President express any objection to your plans about bringing the Port of Darwin back into Australian hands, or any potential response that China might take to that?
No, it wasn't raised.
Dave Sharma, are you surprised that that didn't come up in the meeting?
Look, I am a little surprised. It's not clear from the Prime Minister's very curt answer whether he raised it or whether it was not raised by the Chinese side. I mean, I don't think that Albanese should be going out seeking to magnify points of difference, but he should be very clear on why we took that decision that we've taken, and it was in response to an opposition election commitment or policy that we announced in the course of the last campaign. And I think it would have made sense for me, at least, for Anthony Albanese to explain the basis of that decision to Chinese leadership.
The Prime Minister spoke a lot about the importance of dialogue. Have a listen to these comments.
One of the things that we know is that dialogue is a good thing. If you don't have communication, you can have misadventure and misinterpretation as well.
Well, Dave Sharma, I can't argue with that. Dialogue is vital, especially in relationships, which makes it all the more awkward that Albanese has chatted on a number of occasions in person with Xi Jinping, but hasn't spoken once in person with Donald Trump. I guess some dialogues are more important than others.
Look, quite right. I mean, look, and this is an important point. Dialogue is a means to an end. It's not an end in itself. It's good that you're talking, but the important point is to get a set of understandings in how you're going to conduct your relationship and make sure your interests are registered. And if Anthony Albanese has done that in China, well, that's positive. But seeking dialogue for dialogue's sake is not the purpose of diplomacy or foreign engagement. And you're right to point out that with our most important defence, strategic and on some measures economic partner, the United States, Anthony Albanese, it's now been, I think, 250 odd days since Donald Trump was elected. He's yet to meet him, and he didn't have a meeting in Canada. Well, look, that was understandable. Donald Trump left early. He could have had a meeting with JD Vance at the Vatican when the new Pope was being sworn in or inaugurated. He didn't take that opportunity. And he doesn't seem to have any plans to make that trip soon. And I think we have vital interests, not only trade interests with the United States with respect to tariffs and other trade measures, but also, of course, with nuclear-powered submarines, the AUKUS project.
Absolutely. Some dialogue with the US would be most welcome. Dave Sharma, appreciate you joining me tonight.